Are you wondering what kind of home 700,000 will buy you in Hendersonville, North Carolina? Then stick around as we uncover the pros and cons of several neighborhoods surrounding our quaint mountain town.
Hi, this is Suzanne and Ryan, and we're proudly serving the upstate of South Carolina and Western North Carolina, from Asheville to Greenville and everything in between.
And we've helped buyers relocate from all over the country to our scenic and friendly towns and cities. And we'd love to help you too.
Okay, so the first neighborhood that we're going to talk about that has homes in this price range is a smaller neighborhood called Town Forest. And it is located within city limits of Hendersonville. So this is probably the closest one into town that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it's only about 5 to 7 minutes by car to downtown.
Correct. And it is only about 30, 40 homes. This was an older established neighborhood that started about in the 50s or so, and they're continuing to build on and off to maybe the early 2000s, late 90s. Because of that, the homes really vary in style. They vary in floor plan. There's lots of different kinds of...
There's a fair amount of ranch in there, though. Ranch floor plans, I think.
Yeah,
it's like single-level living.
Yeah, there's a few two stories in there. At this price point, I think you can expect somewhere around 2,700, 3,000 or so square feet.
And again, they have lot sizes that are half acre to probably up to a little over an acre in there. The downside to living in Town Forest is that you do have to pay city taxes. The upside is that you do get some services for that. You get police, fire, obviously, and trash pickup.
And natural gas is in that neighborhood as well.
Natural gas, city water, city sewer. So you get all of those kind of services with that extra tax that you pay. The other, I would say, downside that you may consider about living in the Town Forest is that it is located off of a street called Blythe. And it is a cut-through street that connects Highway 64 to Highway 191. Those are sometimes called Four Seasons Boulevard and Haywood Road. So it gets a lot of traffic. It's a simple 2-lane road, and it's only that connector point. It's probably about a mile long. It's very, very close, but it does go by the two entrances to Town Forest.
I would say that neighborhood within itself is very walkable, but if you're wanting to walk miles, you'd be doing a lot of laps.
And it's not super flat, so you're going to go up some hills. It's not like flat sidewalk walking.
But it's also not a super steep.
It's manageable.
It's somewhere in between. So what's up next?
So we're going to talk about Claremont, and Claremont is a well-established neighborhood that is in the town of Flat Rock. So that's something else to mention, is that you will pay additional taxes to the town of Flat Rock. And you don't really get garbage pickup services included with that in Flat Rock. So that's a little anomaly versus like the city of Hendersonville. Yeah. So you do have to still pay for any of your garbage pickup that you may schedule. And there's many providers that can do that. And it usually runs around, $40 a month kind of price point for the garbage pickup.
Higher end.
But Claremont itself, it is in a very nice location because you can be to the village of Flat Rock, which has a couple of restaurants and a couple of stores and a bakery and a movie theater, and also the Flat Rock Playhouse for your entertainment for Broadway and musical type shows, and Carl Sandburg, which is a natural park. So all of that is literally minutes from the entrance of the neighborhood. Yeah. If you go a little bit further north, you're going to run into downtown Hendersonville, and that'll probably only take you about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on traffic at that point. Yeah. But the other thing location-wise is that in terms of living in Western North Carolina, it's pretty much the closest area that you can also shoot down to Greenville very easily. Yeah. So downtown Greenville is only going to be about 45 minutes from the entrance of Claremont. Now, Claremont itself has a lot of variation in home styles because it started building out in the mid-'80s and then continued through the 2000s. So you can find a lot of options in there, single level, 2-story, etc. The other thing to know is that it's a very deep neighborhood and it's very wooded. So you're going to feel like you're living in nature. And it also goes fairly far back. So if you live at the very back of the neighborhood, it's probably going to take you about 10 minutes to get out to the entrance. Now, when you do get to that entrance, what do you see? It's pretty cool, right?
The golf course.
You're looking at a golf course, but it's actually Kenmure's golf course, which is across the street. But I mean, that's just a picture in and of itself when you come out.
It is. It's very picturesque there. And that's also a neighborhood that has almost 1 acre lots. I think they're all about 1 acre. So they're good sized. And since it is so heavily wooded, you've got a lot of nature, deer, and other wildlife that go along with that.
Yeah, for sure. So the upside is location's great. Downsides are you're going to pay the Flat Rock tax, and if you do live in the back neighborhood, it's going to take you a bit of time to get out to the entrance. So up next, we're talking about
Woodhaven. So this is actually another neighborhood that is located in Flat Rock. So you've got those Flat Rock tax on top of the county tax.
It's literally on the edge of the border of Flat Rock.
Yeah. So I would say this is maybe, it's got all those great things about it in terms of being close to Flat Rock. You've got Carl Sandburg and the Playhouse, things that we already mentioned.
The difference in location for me is that it puts you about equal distance to the Flat Rock Village and downtown Hendersonville because of just how it's kind of bordering to the middle of the side of those.
So instead of going down Greenville Highway to get to downtown Hendersonville, you'd go down Canoga to get to downtown Hendersonville.
That's right.
So
But the other thing, because of where it's at, it's if you like to go out and do your hiking and mountain biking, it puts you closer than Claremont for sure to
Yeah.
DuPont Forest,
That's
DuPont
right.
State Forest. So you can do all that, take advantage of it.
Yeah,
And I would say that's 20 minutes probably from
not
there.
even 15 tops. Yeah.
Very convenient.
Yeah, very convenient for that. So this neighborhood was established in the late 70s and was built over time to the early 2000s. There's about 50 to 70 homes or so in that neighborhood, and the lot size, I would say, is about 3/4 of an acre to an acre. So still kind of a generous lot size, and you're going to have all those varying home styles and floor plans that come with those decades.
And you'll hear us say that a lot of times, that it's a lot of variation of home styles. And the reason being is that unless we are talking about a new construction neighborhood, which there are fewer of in our area, you're going to get a mix of everything.
Yeah, for that price, for that price point of home, you're going to have maybe 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. It's going to be on city water, I believe, and septic for your systems. And it's a very walkable neighborhood, and it's I would say relatively flat-ish.
Pretty flat in there.
Yeah. So an easy walk and a good neighborhood to walk through.
To net it out, the pros are that you're not living in town, but you're still very close to it, whether you're trying to go to the Village of Flat Rock or you're trying to go to Hendersonville.
Yep.
And of course, you got that upside to being close to DuPont State Forest if you like those outdoor activities as well.
Sure.
The downside probably is the same reason. You're just a little bit further out. So the next one on our list is going to be the Vista at Blacksmith Run. Now, this is a newer construction neighborhood. Yeah. So the home styles in there are very homogeneous. Now, there's a lot of different floor plans that the builder chose to build out.
But from the exterior look, it's more of a cohesive look.
Yeah, and it's a craftsman style type look.
Yeah. We've also gone across I-26 and we're now near the apple orchards.
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes from downtown Hendersonville on the other side of Interstate 26, like Sue said. And so it's closer to, things like the retail area where Walmart and Sam's Club and all that kind of stuff is. Mm-hmm. It also puts you closer, though, to a lot of the wineries. There's at least 4 wineries out within about probably a 5 to 10 minute drive of that location. So if you love your wine, this might be the place for you. The other thing with the Vista at Blacksmith Run is that it is a gated community and it does have amenities to it. So there's a clubhouse, there is a pool, there is a fitness center, there's even a little pond/lake. And I would say the size of the homes probably is going to be around 2,000-ish square foot and above. And the lot sizes are going to be less than most of the other neighborhoods we've already talked about. So you're talking about a quarter of an acre, maybe a third of an acre. However, there are some that get toward the hill, I won't call it a mountain, a hill in the neighborhood that actually have more than an acre. So it does have some variability. The walkability of this neighborhood is very high too. It's pretty flat.
At the bottom.
At the bottom before you go up to the hill.
This is a little bit closer to what we call an area of Edneyville. There's city water, but it's a community sewer system. So that's how they're able to have the smaller lot size, but yet larger homes.
Yeah. So upside to Blacksmith Run is that you're very close to the wineries. You're very close to the retail area around Walmart and Sam's Club off of Highway 64. The downside to it is that you are a pretty good distance from downtown Hendersonville. Mm-hmm. So if you like a lot of the restaurants and a lot of the things around Hendersonville downtown area, this might not be the place for you.
So next up, we have just kind of a smaller community, but it's very close to the Vista at Blacksmith Run, and that price point I'm talking about is called the Orchards at Chimney Rock. So this was a neighborhood that was started building in 2023, so fairly new. New construction. There's only maybe about 20 homes. I would say in terms of walkability, there's really none. It's just almost because it is such a small neighborhood and it's
just
right
a
off
single street that kind of goes up in elevation as you go from the front to the back.
Yeah, and it's right off of Highway 64, so not really great walking there because that is a very heavily traveled road.
It's a busy road without sidewalks, Highway 64, when you get to that area.
Yes, like I said, it's kind of right next to Vista Blacksmith Run, so you're still looking at the same time frame, same pros and cons in terms of location to your restaurants and things like that.
The key difference to me is that there's just no amenities here, right? So if you're wanting the pool and the clubhouse and the fitness center, you're going to look at Vista. If you don't necessarily want those, and that means your HOA fee is probably going to be a little less here. That's typically how those things kind of work out. So that's kind of the decision point because these neighborhoods literally are almost next door to each other. And they're relatively newer homes.
I would describe, I think, the Orchards at Chimney Rock to be kind of like maybe mountain farmhouse or modern farmhouse is what I was going to say. Maybe
modern farmhouse is probably
kind of craftsman, like a look to it. So, yeah. But anyway.
It's a style that resonates with people today.
And the next one.
So we're going to jump over now to the other side of the county. So we're going to go back over Interstate 26 on 64 practically still. So this is a main thoroughfare, as you'll learn. Yeah. And it's going out to the area called Horseshoe. And we're going to talk about the cottages at Byron Forest. Now, those are about 20 homes that have been built so far. It's out in an area that is going to see some growth in the future because the Acoustic Trail, which is a rail-to-trail conversion that's going from downtown Hendersonville to downtown Brevard, it will go through this area. It doesn't go immediately in front of or border Byron Forest, but it is a minute or two away by car. And at that intersection, you come together. That's also some things that you'll be able to take advantage of if you live at Byron Forest, because there's Packus Place, which is kind of a farm and a kind of microbrew kind of setup that people like to go, hang out at in the evenings and the weekend. You also have a restaurant called Root and Bone that opened up probably a year or so ago at this point, and kind of does farm to table style dining. And there's also a good coffee shop that sells baked goods called Cognitive Brew. So you've got some things immediately almost outside of your doorstep. This neighborhood started construction in 2024, so they're very homes, and they have that kind of farmhouse craftsman style that's very popular, a lot of white and black exterior color palettes. So if that's the style of home you like, you definitely want to check out the cottages at Byron Forest. The other thing about location for the cottages at Byron Forest is that it is about halfway in between Hendersonville or Brevard. So you can go either way and be there in about 20 minutes. That also puts you to the entrance of Pisgah Forest in that same time frame. So again, if you like to go see the waterfalls that are out in Transylvania County, or do any hiking that's over there in the forest, visit the fish hatchery. I mean, there's all sorts of outdoor activities to do over that way.
So those are some examples of what $700,000 to $800,000 can get you in Hendersonville. So drop us a note below and let us know which neighborhood you think you might like best. And be sure to hit that subscribe button to get notifications about our upcoming videos.